Joining us in his usual Monday spot here as we're getting set to wrap up week number 9, halfway through this NFL campaign, two-time Super Bowl champion, and the host of Green Light Pod is Chris Long. Christopher, how are you, sir?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm great, man. I'm going to Munich, calling Bucks and Seahawks. Both teams win. They're going to be in a much better mood, and one team's leading the NFC West, the other team's leading the NFC South. Brady says it's awesome. He's dropping F-bombs. It's all good, man. It's all good.
Yeah. Leading the NFC South.
Hey, it's better than being last place.
I like that.
Right?
Yeah, that's what they're telling all the German people.
Yes.
So, you've got the NFC South leaders coming. The NFC South leaders are coming.
Yes. Yes, they're 4-5. Pay no attention to that record, but the rest of it's true. These are all truths.
Tom Brady.
I mean, did you hear what Jalen Ramsey had to say after the game, Chris Long, where he was very upset that the defense was asked to do one more time what it did, which was get Brady off the field to try and win the game, and they couldn't get one single first down. And it sounds like we've got issues with the defending Super Bowl champs.
We got issues. Why? Well, I got issues with 3rd and 5. Handoff for 1 yard. Bucks have no more timeouts. You get a first down, the game's over. What's an incompletion? I would rather try to pick up that first down and try to end the game than take the chance of picking up 5 yards and punt the ball back to Brady. I mean, one throw down the seam, a couple throws on the sideline. We've seen this movie before. You get a PI at the one, and they score. And I was happy for Tom. He's been through a lot, man. He really has. I mean, sometimes we he's an easy target because he's such a big target, so everybody kind of. But I was happy for him. He is up against a lot, and so is Aaron Rodgers this year. But it was good to see Tom get the finish on top yesterday. He needed that,
Well, what did you make of Jalen Ramsey's comments? Because it sounds like to me when he says something like that, and it is truthful. I don't know if you've ever been in a locker room where offense and defense might look at each other across the way after a game and say, "What was that?" Have you?
Most of my career. Yeah. I mean, but I wasn't good enough. I wasn't Jalen Ramsey, so I never said it outright, and that tension's real in a locker room. The elephant in the room is the offense is not very good. It has a ceiling, and some of the decisions they've made over the past couple of years, it's just been a process getting to where they are now, right? Like the offensive line, the injuries, Whitworth retiring, you lose Robert Woods, feels like eons ago. Beckham on a rental was awesome. You got what you needed out of that, but you haven't really been able to replace Robert Woods. The offensive line has been suspect at best, and the run game is it's so bad that Akers is getting carries yesterday. So I don't know, man. The magic running out a little bit on that offense, and it's not like anybody's surprised. I'm not surprised. The Niners are the best team in that. Niners and Seahawks. Let me give Seahawks their due because they are leading the division, but you talk about that division. I don't know. Are the Rams do they have the 4th highest ceiling in that division?
Wow, that is saying a lot. That is saying a lot.
So this stuff happens, though. I mean, they just won a Super Bowl. It's hard to get back on the horse, and you're kind of just seeing it play out in real time.
Well,
I do want to say this: when we won Super Bowl in 2017 and 2018, we were 4-6 at one point. But I think the difference is, we rounded a turn and improved. I don't think they have the guys to – we weren't playing well. I don't think this team is very good, frankly, offensively.
So what is it like, Chris Long? I mean, being in that locker room, you said you were 4-6. Now, obviously, you had Tom Brady and Belichick. But, Arizona's 3-6. Green Bay's 3-6. You've got the Rams sitting there at 3-5. You got the Raiders, good Lord, sitting there with just 2 wins right now. What is going through the minds of a locker room of a team where it's slipping away, or this thing needs to, the only way to turn it around is to win every last damn game that you have left on your schedule? What's that like?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, when I was in St. Louis, I think we won 34 games over 8 years or 35 games over 8 years. So I was no stranger to losing, but being in a situation where you're sub 500 following up a Super Bowl year, it's a totally different vibe. Like, it's a different kind of despair, like being on a really bad team where you're bad, like Houston's hopeless. It's an everyday grind. But the tension in a building where you're like, we know we're better than this, or we expected to be better than this, is so high. And you come in on Sunday after a loss like that on the road, and there's not a lot of talking. You hear a helmet get slammed. You might hear somebody just scream. You know what I mean? It's like quiet for 3 minutes, and you just hear somebody in a bathroom stall just screaming. Like, that's what losing in the NFL can be like. And it feels way different. Like, Tennessee lost that game last night, but they get on the plane and they're proud, right? They should be. And I'm not big on moral victories, but like that team, they should be proud of themselves. The Rams, it's like another crushing loss. And, it was going to be the Rams locker room and the Bucs locker room, and I'm sure it was the same way in Green Bay before they got on that flight back to Appleton or wherever the heck they fly into.
Chris Long here on the Rich Eisen Show.
Milwaukee.
You just mentioned the Sunday night game, Tennessee and Kansas City, and how Tennessee should feel proud. I mean, I couldn't only imagine Malik Willis playing in Liberty, right? I know I know he came from the SEC originally, but to get out there and be in Arrowhead, which is close to a big-time college/pro environment. It's maybe the most college environment in the pros as well. That had to be completely overwhelming. And yet Kansas City, despite giving up only one first down to Tennessee after 5 minutes to go in the second quarter, Tennessee forces the game into overtime and had an opportunity to win this thing. But Mahomes is just ridiculous. It's just absolutely absurd. What do you think of watching him?
He's fun, man. He's just so fun. And my brother Kyle got a chance to play with him in Kansas City, and just the people that talk about him and are close to him talk about like that Jordan-like competitiveness, and that gets thrown around a lot, but it's legit with him. He's the type of guy that just raises the level of everybody, and they're so well coached. Like, late in the game, they got to get down. I think I forget what the context was, but the ball's rolling around. They got to get on the ball and snap the ball, and they're just so fast to the line. Like, everything's just much more buttoned up. Like, they're running they're champions. You know what I mean? Like, they're a team that's in the middle of a championship window. They've lost some players. The pieces are different, but who they are has not changed. Like, who they are, and a lot of it has to do with Patrick Mahomes and the tone he sets. So, whether it's if you got to throw the ball 68 times or 58 times or whatever it is, you got to throw the ball, a bunch. If I gotta do it with my legs, I got to do it with my legs. If the defense has got to step up, those last 8 drives for Tennessee, you can get much. I mean, that's how the NFL is. You got to win in different ways, and that offense has been a little hot and cold, and the back end for Tennessee has played really well all year, and they played physical last night. But I just, I hate to, in a loss, make it about Mike Vrabel, but I'm obsessed with the guy. Like, former players are probably all watching this guy like, you would love to play for this cat, because the belief that he instills in his team is just amazing. Not just to go there and go toe-to-toe with him, but to go down 10-0, basically 9-0, and figure out you're going to get back in this game and throw the ball 8-10 times. Like, Kansas City had an opportunity to pull away. They didn't. And then Tennessee started playing the game on their terms. Like, it's amazing that Tennessee played that game on their terms.
They did, but here's the thing, the conundrum with Tennessee, okay? We could place the A.J. Brown stuff aside because that's so obvious.
So obvious.
Okay, I mean, the receiver didn't catch a pass last night. But then again, like I said, you got a kid from Liberty now showing up on Sunday Night Football in Arrowhead in his second career start, that he didn't know it was really making or not. He probably had a sense all week, but let's just place the wide receiver stuff aside. It's the conundrum with Derrick Henry. He is so, by far and away, their best player. And they can't keep throwing him out there for a 30-touch night, right? I mean, and I understand that. But I don't understand why they take him off the field just because it's 2nd and 9 or 3rd and 8. He can flip the field on any touch when you know the touch is coming, too. He's their biggest home run hitter, and they take him off the field. And I don't that's like taking Aaron Judge off the field. That's taking, I could keep, it's taking John Morant off the court, just because the score is what it is, or the down and distance. I don't understand it. You have the floor off of that.
That's an interesting deal. Like on third down, maybe use them a little bit more, that sort of thing. I think the bottom line with Tennessee, their problem is more that their floor is so high, but I just don't know how high their ceiling is. So we could use Derrick Henry on third down more and that sort of thing, but they're a really good football team. But if you look at their wins, I think it's Houston, it's Indy twice. It's it hasn't been. I hate saying this because it's so dismissive, but they haven't beat anybody. You know what I mean?
No, I hear you. No, it's Vegas. It's Vegas, Indianapolis, Washington, Indianapolis, and Houston. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, because we just went through and did this whole power rankings thing. Thanks a lot to my co-host.
Nice.
Who came in this morning and was like, "Let's do some power rankings."
Shout out.
Power rankings. Dumbest thing in the world. It changed every week. It takes no skill to do power rankings. But
that's true.
I couldn't put them in my top 7 teams or whatever it was, which is an arbitrary number too. Thank you very much. But I couldn't put them in my top 7 teams because they haven't beat anybody. If I was a committee, I'd be like, there's no quality wins here. Now, they are a high floor team, and a lot of that has to do with Derrick Henry, who should be – there's some non-traditional MVPs that we should be talking about, and they're not all sexy, and they're not all on teams that are undefeated or anything, but, whether it's Derrick Henry or Tyreek Hill, we should consider position players for this because he just adds such an element to that team.
Chris Long,
amazing.
Chris Long, 2-time Super Bowl champ, Greenlight podcast host, and now new power ranker here on the Rich Eisen Show.
Yeah.
All right, so you mentioned your power rankings that you were forced to do. Know the feeling. So
you like doing them, though.
Yeah, I've been converted. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie. So here we go. Here you go, Chris Long. Bills or Chiefs? You got to put your marker on one of them. What do you got? Right now?
I got the Bills, even though Josh Allen's not playing well right now. I mean, look at last week. I mean, some of those balls late in that game, they're almost picks, or he overthrows Gabe Davis on 3rd and 7, as if the game is a 4-score game, just kind of lapses, A lot of them outside the pocket where you just, I don't know. And then yesterday, I'm sure you saw that game, right?
Oh, yes.
But, he's throwing picks and he's throwing almost interceptions. And so I think this is probably not the norm for him, and he'll get back to being Josh Allen, which Josh Allen's still going to throw you some balls sometimes. But I mean, I would put Buffalo second because of their defense. And the long story short, I just think Buffalo's second because and Kansas City's got a really good defense, but the weaponry offensively for the Bills is better than the Chiefs' weaponry. I mean, they don't have a run game right now. If Matt Milano's back, it makes a huge difference. You saw that yesterday. The things that they're susceptible to without Matt Milano in the game and Poyer and that sort of thing. When they're at full strength, that defense is a real strength for them. So I'm not putting Buffalo over Kansas City because of the quarterbacks. I actually think if you're going to give an MVP to a quarterback this year, then give it to Patrick Mahomes. But Buffalo is 2 for me behind Philly, and then Kansas City would be 3. And I actually have San Francisco and Dallas up there. And
yeah, because you're not just power rankings based on actual record. You're projecting. You're projecting down the road. I exactly know how you're doing it, Chris Long. Exactly.
There's two types. There's the one where a team wins one game and there's the green arrows and they go up 14 spots, dumbest thing in the world. And then there's who are the best teams, And that's how I feel about those teams.
And now, Chris Long, I'm going to give you a whoa moment because it happened. I don't know if you've heard or not, but Frank Reich has just been let go as coach of the Indianapolis Colts.
Wow.
So what are your thoughts on that front here?
Well,
what do you think?
I have thoughts, Rich. First off, Frank Reich is a great man, and I was able to spend time with him in Philly, and just people love and respect the guy. So I'm wishing him the best, and it's hard to be a head coach in the NFL. It's especially hard to be a head coach in the NFL when there's one major event that set the Colts up for failure. And they could have bit the bullet on this thing like 3 years ago, but when Luck retired, but they just haven't. And they continued to roll the dice with old quarterbacks and retreads. You know, when Luck retires in 2019, had they known that in 2018, Josh Allen was taken a pick after the Colts had a selection. So, you know, like think about it. You had Josh Allen, you had Lamar in 2019. You know, I don't think they had a real chance at any great quarterbacks, but you never know. They sent a first for Buckner in 20, and I think Herbert or one of these quarterbacks maybe you could trade up for. All I'm saying is the blame goes around, dude. Like Chris Ballard, you know, not keeping Glowinski up front, highest paid offensive line. They're not effective. I asked the question on our pod today is like the Colts have the lowest floor in the league, and it feels like they do. And we just talked about Tennessee, who made chicken soup last night, and as they do, like with regularity, Vrabel's got so many moments like that where you're like, no way they win this game, and they hang in there, or they beat the hell out of somebody with not much. And the Colts have not found a way to maximize even the little talent that they have. They haven't designed their team well. So I think Ballard, you know, shares the blame in this thing, but obviously Frank Reich was the first to go. And I definitely feel for him because it hasn't been a perfect situation. He thought he had Carson. He thought he had the old Carson. He had the new Carson. You know, you thought you had the old Matt Ryan. You had the capital O Matt Ryan. You know, so it's a tough situation to be in personnel-wise, but Frank, you know, ultimately had to be better.
It is unbelievable how quickly things can change in the NFL. I mean,
oh yeah.
I mean, honestly, the Indianapolis Colts coming in, you figure Matt Ryan's doing it because they had to, you know, they acquire him. They don't do Baker. They do the Matt Ryan route. And Jonathan Taylor's coming off of a damn near MVP campaign. The kid never misses a snap. He's hurt. Ryan can't be protected. They still, I think if I'm not mistaken, they were 3-2-1. The Indianapolis Colts. And then they get swept by Tennessee. They lose to Washington. And then, you know, what we saw with New England yesterday, it was dreadful. And maybe you got to wonder if they just suck for C.J. Stroud or suck for Stroud or whatever you want to talk about right now. I don't know who that would be first overall, but somebody's going to have to really outsuck Houston, you know, right now. So,
yeah, it's
to be
hard
honest.
to do. And just Rich, I'm looking at it. I'm looking at the Colts pick like 14 right now, but there's a million teams that are picking, you know, they're tied with 3 wins. So that's going to sort itself out a little bit. And most of those teams with 3 wins are not hunting a quarterback. And I'm no college football expert. I'm no college football, you know, draft evaluator. But, like, there's 3 quarterbacks mostly that people are talking about taking in the top 10. And there's currently 3 teams that are hunting quarterbacks who are going to pick ahead of them, Carolina, Houston, Detroit. So you got to – this is like case in point with the Colts. Like, figure out what the hell you're doing. And figure it out right now. And, yeah, if I'm a player on that team, it sucks not to win. But if I'm Quentin Nelson, I don't want to win 7 games and end up spinning the revolver on a veteran quarterback or something next year. Like, nah, I don't want to do that again. So if you're the Colts, like, hurry up and get losing. And there's some bad teams this year.
Yeah, and if you want to talk about how things can change so quickly in the NFL, even just in the middle of a season – how about like 2 weeks ago, just 2 weeks ago, before the Monday night game, all right, that they were playing in New England, if there was anybody looking at the Chicago Bears and saying, that's a team I think I'm going to bet on for the future in 2023 and beyond, that team, and then they beat the Patriots, they damn near beat the Dolphins this past week after giving the Cowboys a bit of a scare, and Justin Fields is out of his skull right now. They're calling plays for him, and look what he's doing with it. It's unbelievable right now.
Hey, man, when you hang on to a bandwagon, you don't do it not to gloat. I've definitely stayed on the Fields bandwagon. Last year, I posited that he might be the best in his draft class, and I think that's going to prove itself out to be true. His ceiling is so high, dude. I mean, just look at that 61-yard run yesterday. Pair that with the 3rd and 8 to Mooney, which is a gorgeous throw. Like, the difficulty of some of the throws that he's making, because the margins are not incredibly big with the talent they have offensively. The calls, Getsy's done a heck of a job. And you see they add Claypool, and early in that game they're trying to get him the ball out on the perimeter, like the way, it's an extension of your run game. It's a big body. Green Bay, Devontae Adams, they missed that, right? Like just those little, like, pop it out, box count type thing. It gives them a vertical threat. You see that missed pass interference late in the game. And I think they're moving in the right direction. And people were like, why offload your defensive weapons and then make a move for Claypool? Because I think it's important to develop your quarterback in an environment that he's not going to be shell-shocked. You see it all the time with young quarterbacks, with bad offensive lines, with nobody to throw to, and it changes their psychology as players. I mean, your muscle memory is formed in really messed up situations, and I think them investing in Claypool and having this offensive coordinator in Luke Getsy, like, they're moving in the right direction. I love Justin Fields, and that was a fun game to watch. Two really good offenses right now. And two quarterbacks who played really well. And so I'm a big Fields fan. I'm excited for the Bears. I know my brother Kyle is excited for the Bears too. I mean, he was on the show this morning gloating because it's going to be a fun ride for Chicago fans.
He should. No doubt he should. I tweeted that out during the game yesterday. I'm like, dare I say the Bears are a fun watch? They're a fun watch, man. They are fun to watch. And teams that normally, send their best pass rusher and their best defensive player in the middle, who's, a lion in the locker room like Roquan Smith, they tap out. And they're balling out, and they're fun to watch. They really are.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Get on the wagon.
And the design QB run plays are awesome.
Yeah, they are.
Like, people are going to be worried about him getting hit and that sort of thing, Rich, but, like, how many times did he take a hard shot yesterday?
Not many. No, he's smart. He's smart about it. He's good.
Yep.
He's really good. Who's on your pod this week, Chris Long? What do you got?
This is one of those fly by the seat of your pants weeks. We're booking the guests as we speak, Rich. You know how show business is.
I do know that. Yeah, I know you're right. I do know how show business is. You're not wrong.
Maybe Rich Eisen.
Well, I'll be in Germany. Dude, I'm just.
Yeah.
I'll be like 7 hours ahead. Happy to do it.
We'll get you
seriously.
When you get back stateside.
Dude, but if you need me to, if you want me to zoom in or whatever, I'll be
correspondent.
You know when I'm at my best when I'm totally jet lagged out of my head. Even though I have Wolverine blood, I do get jet lagged.
Watch Beer Fest tonight before you go.
Oh yeah, I'll be doing the high knees. I'll be doing the high knees all the way to Munich, and people on the plane will be like, "Why aren't you sleeping?" I don't care. It'll be great though.
Yeah,
it'll be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be doing it. So
shout out to Ruff.
Look out for me. Seriously, I'm there anytime for you. I appreciate it, Chris.
Hey, brother. I appreciate you.
You be well. That's Chris Long. Everybody check out Greenlight Podcast right here where all podcasts can be acquired. Chris Long here on The Rich Eisen Show.